Okay, now we're solving equations. This is new to everybody, except for maybe I did it in extended algebra 2, I don't remember. You're solving for a variable inside of a root, okay? Now, if that's the only variable you have, there's only one answer for it. Now, you got to know what kind of a root it is. If you don't see a little tiny number up here, it's a square root, so put a 2 there. And circle just the root portion, okay? Now, there's three things you have to check for, okay? And I'm actually going to write my steps backwards, okay? First thing you check for, first thing, you have a square root. The opposite of a square root's a second power, okay? You put that on step 3. Now, do you have anything right before your circle? You do. You have a 3. There's no operator. That makes it multiplication. So the opposite of multiplication is divide by 3. Now, do you have any other numbers? The 6 doesn't count. That's on the other side. I don't think outside of the root, outside of the circle. You had a 3. You got anything else outside of the circle? No, you don't. So, right, just cross it off. Now, when you're working your process through, you follow it straightforward. You're going to divide by 3. And that cancels the 3 out, and then divide by 3. That takes that side to 2, and I have the square root of x plus 2. Okay, and now we're to the second power. So when you do a power to each side of an equation, you want to put each side in parentheses and just put a second power. A square root and a second power undo each other, and I have x plus 2, and then 2 to the second power is 4. Now, I'm not done yet, but the equation's very easy now. I just minus 2, that gives me my solution of 2. And that makes sense, because if you take 2 plus 2 is 4, the square root of 4 is 2, 2 times 3 is 6. Okay, now x, one answer inside of a root, you're going to want to make 1, 2, 3. First, circle the root. It's a second square root, so circle just the square root portion. Circle the root. So you have a square root. Again, that's going to be a second power. Now look outside your root. Do you have a number right in front of the circle? No, you don't, so you will not be dividing. But you do have another number here with the 2. Well, it says plus 2, so that means you're going to minus 2. This step is if I have to divide, if I have a number right in front of the circle. Now work it forward. You minus 2, change that 2 to a 6. Okay, so I minus 2, and that takes that side to 4, because that's 2 minus 2 is 0. That's idiotic problem. Okay, and then we have the square root of 2x minus 3. So that's been done. I don't have to divide, and now I go to my second power. Okay, these undo each other, and I get the expression 2 times x minus 3. You put 8 down, you need to be punched. It's 4 times 4, and that's 16. Then add 3 to both sides. 2x equals 19. Divide by 2. 19 divided by 2 is 9.5. All equations here have one solution. You just got to open your eyes and look. So one answer. It's a square root, so circle just the square root. Okay, again, 1, 2, and 3. So we're going to write our steps backwards. So we have a square root. We're going to eliminate that with a second power. Now check in front of the circle. There's a 5 there. That means 5 times. So you're going to do the opposite of 5, which is divide by 5. Now, other than that 5, do you have any other number outside of there that you have an operation with? 15's on the other side. I don't care about that, so don't say 15. I don't think you have any other number there that you would have to add or subtract, so we're going to cross that step out. Now work it forward. This step is for adding or subtracting. This step is for dividing. This step is for the power I need to do. So now I divide by 5, divide by 5. These cancel, and we have the square root of 3x. 15 divided by 5 is 3. Time for the second power. Parenthesize both sides and take it to the second. Just trust me on this. Those two cancel, and I'm left with just the 3x expression. 3 to the second power is 9. Then it becomes pretty academic from there. We just divide by 3. 9 divided by 3 is 3. Okay, now this is annoying, but if you follow your game plan, it's not that hard. For one, if you have a minus in front of any kind of root, make it plus, negative, and put a 1 there. Okay? So we put a 2, circle it. Now list out your 3 steps. I know it's pretty nasty looking, but it will get the job done. It's a square root. What kind of power do I use? A second power. That undoes a square root. Now, do you have a number right in front of your circle? You do. -1. That's a multiplying number. So we do the opposite, which is divide by -1. Now, you got any other numbers over there? Yes, you do. You have a 7. Now, it's +7, so we're going to minus 7. Now, to work it forward, subtract 7. That takes you to -13. Okay, and then I have -1. Write the rest of the crap. You have -1 times the square root x minus 4. So now it's time to divide both sides by -1. And that just takes that side to 13. Okay, now it's time to do the second power. Okay, and that's x minus 4. Because now what you've done is you've got these undo each other, and I have just the expression. 13 to the second. You can either go 13 times 13, or you can go 13 power 2. In any event, it's 169. Okay. Now add 4, and that takes me to my solution of 173. Because if you take 173 minus 4, that's 169. The square root of 169 is 13. 13 times -1 is -13, and 7 plus -13 is -6. For those of you higher level thinkers, I'm explaining why that works. Okay, now I can't put a 2 there because it's a cubed root. Okay, so I circle just the cubed root portion. So that means instead of a second power, we're just going to use a third power, okay, in the 1, 2, 3 process. Right before your circle, you have a -2, and that's a multiplying number, so we're going to divide by -2. So I already know what I'm doing with that. But we have another number here with the 7. It says +7. We're going to -7. This is for adding or subtracting. This is for dividing, and that's the power. Sometimes on these two, you cross it out because you don't have to do anything. Okay, so I -7. -7, that takes that side to 8. -2 multiplied by the cubed root of 2x plus 5. So what did I just do? I did that. Now I need to divide by -2. That takes that side to -4. You're like, I thought a square root can't equal. Well, yeah, it can. No, a square root can, a cubed root can. Because there's okay, third power it then. Okay, then you raise both sides to the power of 3. With this canceling, you have 2x plus 5. And over here, if you have a negative base, I would strongly recommend you do a parentheses. -64. Okay, then you undo the +5 by -5. So 2x. That will take you to -69. And then I divide both sides of the equation by 2. -69 divided by 2 is -34.5. I know that's a weird looking answer, but it's right. Okay, now my next problem. There's one answer. Again, you're like, oh, there's 3. It's a third. It's not a third power. It's a cubed root. And if you have x under any kind of root, there's one solution. So this is my root, just right here. Okay, it does not extend any further. So that means I will be doing a power of 3. Okay, just put 3 power, third power. Okay, you got anything in front, you do a 3. So you're going to have to divide by 3 on step 2. You have any other number? Yeah, 2, which is being minus, so you're going to have to plus 2. And they have to be listed in this order. Power here, divide here, and then plus or minus here. But I like to analyze them working upward. So, plus 2, get that negative out of there. Okay, that takes me to 6. And then 3 times the cubed root of x, so that's done. Divide by 3. Once you get this listed out, it's just a matter of doing it. Cubed root of x equals 2, 3 power. 2 to the third is 8. Okay. I can tell you we're going to be changing this one right now because that looks dumb. Put an 18 there. Okay, again, one answer. X is not to the third power; it's under a cubed root. If you have an outside x, like so let's say I had an x here and an x somewhere outside, then there's 2 answers. But that's not the case in any of these problems. Okay, so I circle my cubed root. By the way, if you don't know if that 3 means a cubed root or if it's 3 in front, you need to come ask me. Okay, because my writing's not the greatest, unless you're going to use a textbook, okay, which I don't think a lot of people do. Do that. So we know we need a third power. Again, whenever I solve for x inside of a root, I list this out. Okay, do you have anything in front of your circle? Nope, so you will not need to divide. Do you have really anything outside the circle? That doesn't count. Okay, so I didn't have a number in front. I don't have to divide. Is there anything other number outside the root, outside the circle? Nope, so you don't have to add or subtract. So both these are no. I go right to my third power. So I have 2 times x plus 7. You write 15 down. That's, sorry. It's 5 times 5 times 5. You can also go 5 to the third, but don't take 5 times 3. Then minus 7, 2 times x equals 118. Then I divide by 2. 118 divided by 2 is 59. Okay, and then the final example. Here's my root, circle the root. So how are we going to get rid of that? We are going to be doing a third power, but that's not till step 3. Fill that in. In front, you got a 4. You're going to need to divide by 4. You have another value here of 2 plus 2. You're going to have to minus 2. Now work it forward. Minus 2. That takes me to 16. 4 times cubed root x. Then we divide by 4. Cross that out. Then divide by 4. That takes that side of the equation to 4. Third power. And then this bad boy is pretty much solved. You just have x. 4 to the third is 64. And that makes sense because a cubed root is 64. What times what times what 64? It's 4. Times 4 is 16 plus 2 is 18. Okay, I'll get you started a little bit. You have a 2. So you're going to do a second power. Circle the root. Now you don't have anything in front of the circle, and you really don't have any other thing outside of the root, okay? Outside the circle. So right to your second power. That one's kind of the same idea. Second power is step 3. You don't have a number in front, so you can cross out step 2, but you will have to do step 1. You'll have to minus 11. Second. Okay, That's your third step. You'll have to do step 2, divide by 4. You will have step 1. You'll add 6, and you work them forward. You list your steps backwards, but when you're doing the problem, you work it forward. Power, if you have to divide, and if you have to add or subtract. Sometimes you don't. Okay, third power, you'll have to divide by -4 on step 2. Step 1, you'll have to -3. So when you work it forward, you'll -3, divide by -4, and then do your third power.